Morning guys, as you can see I've got the fat bob out, but I'm not going out on the fat bob today. I'm going to be going out on it tomorrow. Hopefully be going down to the Newmarket Harley Davidson with some of the guys from the Harley Club Norfolk. They're meeting tomorrow, so that'll be another good video. Right, the reason why I've got the Harley out is because I had Craig's Suzuki Bandit, he's a good boy, was in front of it. He came and collected it yesterday to take it for the MOT and then home, but unfortunately it's still not running right. Done some investigations. I think the carbs are flooding, so I think one of the float needles at least is getting stuck. And also I found that on the fuel tank there's no tap on it. It's worked by a vacuum, which most bikes are nowadays. The vacuum, well, it's not working, it's stuck open, so the fuel's going all the time. Shouldn't really be a problem if everything's well with the bike, because the floats will be up position and seal off any fuel going into the carburetors. But because obviously one of them is either stuck or leaking, with this open all the time, fuel is flooding the engine. That's not good. That could have got in through the carburetors, past the pistons, and contaminate the oil. So we'll have to have a look at that as well. I've had these carbs off before and cleaned the jets out, and that's, with it being standing too much, I think that's just one of them things. But got to eliminate what it could be. Like I say, I've had the carbs off before, so I'm going to whip them off again, clean out the float bulbs, and have a look at the seating of the needle valves. Just check that they're cutting off fuel. The other thing, what just seems like it's missing to me, so whether one of the coils is playing up, I'm not sure. It's got two coils on this bike. But having said that, when I put the carbs back on the last time, it ran perfect. That's why he said he was going to collect it, take it for the MOT. And he got to the end of the road and it started playing up. Strong smell of fuel. And I think he said fuel was coming out of the overflow, so that's just a sign that something's not right in them carburetors. So off they come again. Never mind, I'm not going to rush the job. It's just something I'm going to have a look for him. He's not in no hurry now with the winter coming up. But just annoying, isn't it? Well, I'm going to make a start. I've just took out these two bolts here, because the only way you can get them carburetors off is removing the air filter, moving this box back, just moving everything back a little bit, just to give you enough room to get those carburetors out. Just 4 screws along at the front here, I'll grab them onto these rubbers to loosen them. It's not too bad of a job to release them, it's actually getting them out of there. So throttle cables can be a real pain to remove, but I've found I can jiggle it round to the side of here. It's probably how come it's got a little scratch on the head, but I'll put something here to protect that, get them round here, and then disconnect them and get them off. Like I say, a real pain. It's got to be done. So I've removed this filter out of here. It drops in at the bottom, just 2 screws at the top, there and there. That comes away and the filter will lift out of there. So I'll put that aside. And to move this back, you have to loosen all these screws. There's 4 along the back of the carburetors, what holds it on for the airbox. It still won't come back once I'm done. There's 2 bolts in the top, here and here, but you have to remove these plastic guards along the side, which is an Allen key, as you can see. Get in there. Like I say, because I've had them off a couple of times now, getting used to it. Once that's undone, these just pop off. They're on some little, don't know what you call them, but they pop into these little grommets, the little plastic stick outs. Can't think of a better word at the minute. It's one on each side, take off, and that'll allow this to come back just that much up. It's not a lot of room to do much at all to get these carburetors off, but that's got to be done. Right, I'll get the other side off. Okay, so we've freed off all the clamps. I'll pull the carburetors back and start to feed them to this side, to the left hand side if you're sitting on the bike. As you can see, there's not a lot of room in there with all the cables. This is your clutch cable which goes around the back. There's this that goes on the airbox, some vacuum pipe. This is the choke cable, and this is the throttle cable, which is one is the throttle and one is a return. Now some people say you can take them off in that situation. I tried before for ages and couldn't seem to get it, but hey ho, who knows. But what I'm going to do, that's what I did before, is wangle the carbs out. I'm going to put some protection here and wangle them round the side of the head. Then I can either disconnect the throttle cables or I can take the float bowls off again in situ. I'll decide in a minute what I'm going to do with that once I get them round. There we go, look. I've wangled the carburetors out and round, still with the cables in situ, so I can actually take the float bowls off. Now let me get some light. Trying to look inside and see if I can see any. That third one from this end and that first one looks rather wet, petrol-y, so whether that's the ones what are getting stuck, I'm not sure. That's the easy bit, getting off. It's getting it back on what's going to be the hardest, but like I say, I've done it a couple of times now, so I know I can get them on. I just need to know, or before I try and reinsert these carbs, to loosen off them clamps quite a long way, otherwise you'll never ever get them seated in there. That is a bit of an awkward thing, jiggling them in there. If you look down the bottom, there's some little wires, they go on the bottom of the carburetor. I'll show you that when I put it back together. Right, I'm going to just leave it like this for now, because I've got other things I need to go on with. Last time I was in a bit of a hurry because I wanted to get it done so I could collect it, but like I say, now he's not too bothered. He just want to get it sorted in, well, ready for next year really now, but I just feel I need to get it sorted for him now so he can use it, or at least get it back running properly. That's the plan. But I'm going to leave it for now. Like I say, I've got other things planned for today, but that's a good start. It didn't take me too long to whip them off. I need to have a look at this fuel tap next, but that'll probably be in the next couple of days. Right, catch you guys later. Okay guys, I'm back again today. I've left this for a few days now. Well, when was it? It was last week, wasn't it? But obviously ain't going to make no difference. We ain't in no hurry. Went out on the Fat Bob Saturday and went down to Newmarket Harley Davidson. You've probably seen the video for that. That was quite fun. I'm also doing some work on the Morris Phoebe. Just going to clean the plugs, to be honest, but if you're interested in that, take a look at my other channel, Phoebe the Morris Miner. But this morning I ain't decided yet whether to remove the carbs completely or whether to just take the float bowls off again and check, because I think the only problem, one or maybe more, the float needles are sticking, either sticking open and flooding it, or then sticking shut, so it's not getting any fuel. I'm not sure which one's doing what. So like I say, I've had them off, I cleaned all the jets, it was running fine, and then this played up. Also, an update on the fuel tap. I was going to order a kit to sort this out, but I took it apart. Unfortunately, I forgot to video it all, but basically there was a lot of muck and rubbish underneath where this vacuum pipe goes. I cleaned that out and it seems to be working fine now, so we might get away with that one, but I'll double test it before I put it back on the bike, just in case. So let's get some screwdrivers and crack on with getting the float bowls off again. Right, I've just loosened this screw here. It's 4 screws in the float bowl. I'm gonna do them one at a time, starting from this end on the right hand side. There may be some fuel come out of this. I've got the strip tray here so that it runs down into it, but other than that, that's been sitting there, like I say, 2 or 3 days, so there might not be any fuel in them. So I'll whip that off and then I'll show you when I got it off. The last screw out. Right, there's no fuel in here. That could either be, it's evaporated, like I say, because the carbs have been tilted, that were dripping on a couple of them, or there was no fuel in it at all. I'd expected to be a little tiny bit in the bottom, but it's absolutely nothing. Right, these are the jets which I said I've taken out and I cleaned them out, blew them all through. There's another one this side which unscrews. These are like carb heaters. This one is broken, but I'm not going to even worry about them. You can see the little float needle going up and down in there. Look, when it goes up, it seals off the fuel. Now, with my eyes, I can't tell whether that, it looks like to me that's working okay, but I'm still gonna just whip it off and give it a clean just to make sure. It's quite simple. This pivot's on this pin going through here. These gloves are a bit loose, aren't they, going through here, and then this is the float will come away, and then the float needle will be underneath. I'll whip that off and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Well, if you can see the pin there, I've just pushed it back. They're quite loose, so that will come out this end, doing this one-handed, and then the float bowl with the needle, as you can see there, will come out with it. It's just like hooked onto it. So what we need to check is whether there's any dirt up in that seating, and just check whether that seals or not. So I'll do that next. Hey guys, so I'm now going to show you what I do. As usual, this is not the way I'm saying that you should do it. I'm just saying this is what I do. I always put a bit of carb cleaner in where the needle goes. I put the needle in, I push it up to the top, and I spin it with a pair of pliers like this. Just work it around, and I have found, as normal, that this will be enough to stop that from sticking in future. But like I say, I'm not saying it'll work for you. It might not work for me this time, but I've done this numerous times when I've had old bikes with a float needle sticking, and it's always worked. But we will see. There's one way to find out, isn't there? That fell out of there nice and easy, where before that was a little bit sticky. Let's just try it with me funny glove on my fingers. Before, when I was pushing it in, it was staying there, so that's obviously not sticking now. So I've reassembled that in reverse. If you look, because the float needle is actually hooked under that tab on the float, it should literally pull it down. But the worst case with these I've found is they don't seat when the float goes up and stop the fill then flood, which I think is what this was doing. So I'm happy with that one. I know it's free. You can adjust the float level by bending this little tab, but I can't see how that would get adjusted. I'm not going to touch things like that unless I really need to, so I'm quite happy with that. I'll put that bowl back on, tighten it up and move along to the next one. Right, that's that one back on, so we'll move to the next one. Sometimes these little screws get a bit mullered and you can't undo them. If you put the screwdriver in and give it a couple of taps, not too hard because it's only aluminium, this casing, just give it a couple of taps, that may work. If not, you can always do it with pliers on the outside of the screw, which I had to with one of these here before last time. Or a better option, if you've got these little tiny vice grips or mold grips, get them onto it, click them on and just spin it, and that will sort it out. Right, I'll whip this one off. I'm doing this, there's some fuel coming out, and there is actually fuel in the float bowl. A little bit of dirt in there still, look. But makes me wonder whether that float on this one, the needle was sticking. Could have been, but like I say, if we do this to all of them, we'll soon tell. If they've all got fuel in, the chances are that was sticking, but it might just be where I've tipped the carbs up to get them out of the bike. But very strange there weren't any in it. Right, we'll carry on. As you can see, there's nothing on the ends of these. They can go in either way, they just slide through. And there you can see how it's attached to the floats, just that little wire piece. So in theory, when the floats go down, they should actually pull it down unless it's absolutely stuck. But they might not be seating and letting too much fuel through, therefore flooding. So I'm going to do the same on all of them. If you notice on my floor there's a tile missing. Really carpet tiles, cheap carpet tiles I got from where I used to work. The reason why that is how come I know that one of these floats are not sealing, and also that the tank was not shutting off the fuel tap by the vacuum, because the bike was in the garage and I noticed fuel was pouring out this overflow, just pouring onto the floor, and I couldn't stop it other than whipping the tank off. It was so saturated, I just chucked the tile outside to get some air on it, and I've left it out there. So that's how I knew that this wasn't sealing. Like I said, when the bike's not running, the fuel shouldn't run, and also even if it got from the tank to the carburetors, it shouldn't go anywhere from there if all the float valves, all the float needles are sealed. But obviously one of them weren't, at least one of them, and why the fuel was continuously running. That's why the bike was running so bad, I believe, after the carbs had been cleaned out. So we'll carry on and do the other two. On the bottom of this carburetor, fixed to here, is the tick over adjustment. So when you turn this, you can adjust the idle speed. This one is a little bit awkward to get out, so I may remove this one and this one at the same time. We'll see how we go. Right, I've taken all the screws out of this one. I'm going to just see if I can get it out with this here. I'm not sure there's going to be any fuel in this one. No, don't look like there is. I think it will come out, just got to jiggle it about a bit. Look, there's a little bit of fuel in that one. same thing. Don't look like it's sticking up, because like I say, because it's attached to the floats, they kind of have to come down. I think it's a case of one of these was not sealing up to close off the fuel. So I'll just show you while we've got this one off about the jet. The jet comes out here, and you can just see the bottom of the needle there, which meters the fuel. So all these holes were blocked on it with I don't know what it was, like dusty material, a little bit green, just from the stale fuel I think. And through the bottom there you can see right through it. I don't know whether you will be able to. So it's all cleared out. You can actually take out this tiny piece at the bottom, make sure that is clean, which it is. The actual float, the actual needle goes down the centre of this, so you can see there when it's seated. So we'll screw that back in. Just hold my fingers for now. Now these work kind of like on a suction, when the vacuum inside the back there is the butterfly, so when you turn the throttle that'll open to let more fuel and air through, and this will automatically lift up to meter more fuel through. Like I say, I know that that's fine, because when I cleaned the jets it was running, revving fine, and then it stopped again, which I think was this flooding. So if this cures it, this bike should run perfect, but we will soon see that, won't we? Right, let's get that back on. When you undo screws like this, don't just put your screwdriver in and start turning. Try and put a lot of force, so like hold the carburettor. Ideally you'd put these on the bench, but I haven't, I know. Hold the screwdriver in and push forward before you turn. Don't just start turning, because they'll just soon rip the inside out. So this one I'm going to leave attached. Just got another screw to take out just as I started to loosen it. The pin is already facing out on that one. Let's see if I can remove it on camera. Just give it a little push. Right then, so obviously give it a little push with this nozzle, so I can now just gouge it out with the pliers and pull it out, but the floats will drop. Right, hopefully now them float needles are going to seal up and stop them from flooding. So I'll get these carburetors back on the bike, and before I put the tank on I'll test us closing off. If not, I'll order a new tank. I think I can get a little kit for that. We'll see how expensive it is, and we'll fire it up and see how it runs. But that might not be at the minute. First of all, there's a cup of tea.